Happy Valentine's month, everybody. I'm the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to share with you some of my favorite Valentine's Day episodes from TV shows or even movies. Not everything is all lovey-dovey. Sometimes Valentine's Days deal with heartache and everything. So, some episodes will be romantic and lovey-dovey, while others will be very sad and heart-wrenching and stuff. But love is love. It doesn't always come with smiles and giggles and glee. So, I'm here today to talk to you about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 1, Episode 60, the season finale, and Oyster Stew. So yeah, oddly enough, this is the season finale of this first season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And it doesn't even feel like a finale. It just feels like a random episode. But this was back in the day before they started putting emphasis on finales, or at least in the first season, that is. Because the third season had a pretty interesting finale. But then Zio kinda didn't. Z was kind of more like wrapping stuff up. But yeah, this was back in the day when they weren't really thinking about stuff like this. Also, this is when they had to ask the Sentai people to make brand new footage because they ran out when they had original 45 episodes. Because after that 45, I think the dude who plays Tommy, Jason David Frank, said that the show basically got canceled after those first 45. But then he had to Saban bought out Fox Kids, and then he asked the Sentai people for more footage and stuff like that. And so yeah, it's just a weird finale episode, but it centers around Zach, so that's kind of cool. But he rarely gets a focused episode. And what's really cool about this episode is that we get to see Zach wear the golden power shield for the first time and the only time. So yeah, this episode is about Zach. It's a Valentine, well, not really so much a Valentine's Day episode. Well, it is a Valentine theme episode, but it's not set in Valentine's Day, I don't think. And Zach is really, really, really wanting to date Angela. He's been fixated with Angela since the beginning of this season. In fact, this is the only season in which she is in. For some reason, she never showed up in season 2, even though he was part of the first half of season 2. But this is actually her last episode. This is also the last episode of the Megazord combination and the last episode of the Putty Patrol, the original ones. When the next season comes in, that's when Lord Zed comes in. And so this is probably also the last season where Goldar doesn't have wings. So yeah, it's a lot of last for this thing. And so it's funny because him and Angela, he's always asking her out, and she's always dissing him and rejecting him. But this time when he asked her out, she finally says yes for some reason. I guess after chasing and pursuing her for so long, she finally just caved in. And so Bulk and Skull in this episode, they are playing, and maybe it is a Valentine's Day episode because the way they're dressed. And so they're dressed kind of in pink Valentine's Day attire, and they have Cupid type stuff. And so they're singing this weird song that they made up themselves. And something I never noticed that the first time and the first time only when Bulk sings, he sounds great as a rock and roll singer. I wonder, does he sing on the side or anything like that? And so they're trying to get a gig, a music gig, wherever they can. And so Zach is telling his friends he really wants to get Angela. I think he's telling Tommy he wants to get Angela something really special. And Tommy's just get some flowers. He's nah, flowers are so outdated. And so he's thinking about, oh, maybe pearl earrings, something like that. But Tommy lets him know, dude, you cannot afford that. And so when Zach goes to the jewelry store, he realizes, yeah, pearl earrings are expensive. Why he didn't think that before, who knows? I mean, they're pearl earrings. They come from oysters and everything. Yeah, they're expensive. So Rita sees this and she thinks it's a great opportunity for her to send out her oyster monster. And so when Zach is like walking through, like I guess like the park, he sees this homeless looking man, or like they call him a hobo, but whatever. I call him like a grifter and stuff. And he sells Zach, some pearl earrings. Now, one thing I do like that Zach pointed out, he has to do, are these stolen? Because they come out from the dude's jacket. And I like how they're trying to educate kids. Talking about, like, is it stolen? Oh, this is also, I think, the last season in which Zach has his iconic, like, fade hairstyle. Like, wait, is it called a fade or a flat top? It's been so long, I forgot what it's called. But he has a skin blend towards, like, the bottom part of his hair. And that's something that was very popular in, like, the 90s for black guys. And so, like, after he buys, like, the pearl earrings, it's revealed to us that the grifter dude is a putty. And so he decides he's gonna go on a double date with Tommy and Kimberly. I guess he's a little nervous and stuff. It's just the girl of his dreams, and he finally gets to date her and stuff. So he wants to make it like really special. So they go to a nice French like bistro type place, and so we see Bulk and Skull. They're singing because they're the ones who got the gig at the little French place. And so while that's going on, Trini, Billy, and Jason, they're just like walking and they get attacked by putties. Because that what always happens when the Rangers are just walking around by themselves and stuff. And so we get the cool like action music. We get some cool action scenes. Not too big on choreography because they didn't really want to waste too much time on that. And so, like, it was just great seeing some old school fighting. We get to see David Yost, who plays Billy, do some flips, which was really cool. And, it was just like, it's nice seeing that. You don't really see that no more. Because a couple of the people back there were actually trained martial artists and, like, gymnasts and stuff. So that's a shame. They should always pick people who actually knows how to do that stuff. Maybe they will on Netflix. And so, um, So while they're there, at the like bistro place, Zach doesn't know how to speak French, and so he orders frog legs, which he is not too thrilled about. But then when Bulk and Skull comes in, they do their shenanigans like always, and they clumsy self, and it's so funny because Bulk has a bunch of them sticking out his mouth, and Skull's like frog legs, and then he takes one out of Bulk's mouth and he kisses it because he loves frog leg. I'm sorry. If you're French and you like that, good for you. But I know that's not for me. Oh, man. Why? Why frogs, man? Why snails? Like, why? And so, in a way, Zordon gives us some great exposition about who this monster is, like he always does. I miss that in Power Rangers. I miss being told what a monster is and what they do, as opposed to them just meeting with the bad guy. But like, I can do this and I can do that. Like, I miss that old school mentor type stuff. And so, like, he alerts Jason, and so they teleport to like the restaurant to stop Zack and them, right? Because the pearl earrings that Zack has is part of that monster, and it will freeze people and stuff. So of course that happens, but it doesn't freeze Tommy and Zack because they're cleaning their outfits from like the frog legs and stuff. The effect on like the frozen people, it's old school 90s. It's neat. They have an effect to it, but it's old school 90s, and it's not really good CGI. Like whenever Zach is trying to talk to Angela, the camera's moving down because it turns your skin gray and staticky and almost like a granite kind of effect. And then when the camera moves down, it kind of wipes away the granite effect, and you see her regular like real arm color and stuff. So in a way, this is around the time when Tommy's powers were still weak because he just got them back. And so after they morph, this was something I always thought was kind of weird. It's like as soon as they morph and they go to like the beach to find the oyster dude, it's like Tommy leaves the battle and says he's gonna go look for him, something like that. The reason for this is that I found out is that originally Tommy was supposed to stay at the restaurant and check on like the people frozen, and Zach was just supposed to be, there fighting the oyster dude by himself until he needs help and he calls Tommy. And so Saban didn't like that idea and he added more Tommy in there, which makes sense. He is the ultimate Power Ranger. He was a huge fan favorite, so it makes a lot of sense. And him and Jason David Franks were on really good terms back then. I don't know how they are now. I don't know if anybody talks to Saban right now. Um, and so, like, Zach, he fights the monster, and it's a really cool scene. But then he gets sprayed with like acid gel, and the acid gel effect is actually pretty cool looking. It's just like goop, you know what I'm saying? And so Tommy comes in, and he's all like, "Hey man, take my shield, it'll heal you." And so I'm like, "Whoa, man!" Zach's wearing a golden power shield, which actually looks really cool on like a Black Ranger, but it looks better on the Red Ranger. Red and gold looks great, green and gold looks great, and of course black and gold look great. But we don't get to see Zach do much with like the shield. And so like this was just kind of almost it's weird because like when he gave him the shield, he said it'll heal like you because he's like hurt, you know what I'm saying? But then the monster tries to blast Zach, and Tommy jumps in front of him, and I'm just like, dude, you ain't got your shield on, you're not protected. This is either the most heroic thing ever or just the dumbest thing ever. So of course he's taking out the fight. And it doesn't make no sense for him to do that because his powers are weak as it is. And it just never makes no sense. But the dude's so brave, so you gotta give him credit. And get to hear some good old fashioned Go Green Ranger music. Boy, I love that. And so Zach, he defeats the monster by like punching him really hard and he falls back in the water. And then after that, the spell is broken, which makes no sense because Zornon literally tells him, in order to fight this dude, you have to get him on land because in the sea he's more powerful. But he's powerful on land too. And in order to defeat him, you have to bust the little pearl that's in the middle of his face. Zach never does that. So I don't understand. Gotta give it up to the oyster dude. The costume looks great. This was old school Power Rangers when the Sentai monsters actually looked threatening. Now they look like they're clowns and everything. I don't understand what happened to Power Rangers. Something must have happened over in Japan where they were like, okay, you're just too scary, so we're gonna make them look like sillier and stuff for the kids. That had to have happened. That had to have happened or something. Or maybe they work in connection with the American people and they're all like, look, kids are getting scared and we need more sillier monsters and stuff. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, Zach goes back and the people are fine. But before he gets there, when Angela comes to, they let her know her pearl earrings are disintegrating. So she throws them in the water. She's pissed at Zach for giving her cheap knockoff jewelry. So after that, they're done. She doesn't talk to him no more. And then so the oyster dude's still in the water. So when the Rangers morph, they have to call on the Megazord to go underwater, which is the first time we ever see the Megazord in water. And so like they're having a hard time fighting him in water. And then so they realize that look, Megazord wasn't designed for water. We need the Dragon Zord. So Tommy calls on that. And it's so great to see that dude again. I love Dragon Zord, man. So Dragon Zord pretty much just like whoops on him and he hits him so hard with his tail he flies out of the water and onto land. And then so but like I said before, the dude is tough on land, and so he hits the Dragon Zord with acid gel. So then the Rangers come with their Megazord and rescue him, and then they defeat him with the Power Sword and stuff. Now there's a deleted scene that shows the oyster dude praying to his giant oyster shell, but they took that out, maybe because it's more a religious thing and they don't want to show that. And so when the Megazord was underwater, he does destroy the big oyster shell. It's something the oyster dude was like obsessed with, right? I kind of wish they would have showed him praying to it, showed us how obsessed and why he loved it so much. And there's also a deleted scene where Zach is scanning for the oyster dude with his visor, which is something we've never seen before in Power Rangers. And I think it wouldn't take until the movie for us to see that. That would have been cool. There is footage of that on YouTube. I'll link it below because this is part, I think, of the ZYU2 footage that Saban asked for and stuff. And so basically, towards the end of the episode, Zach is trying one more time with Angela. So Bulk and Skull are there to serenade or just to play the music. He doesn't want them to sing. And so Zach sings to Angela. He has a really lovely singing voice. And so she's like thrilled by this and she forgives him. But then Bulk and Skull can't help but being Bulk and Skull. So then they start singing and ruin everything. So this was like, I think, the last time Bulk and Skull was like bullies and stuff. Because after this, they go on a hunt to find out who the Power Rangers' identities are. I really liked this episode. I think it was a great episode. I just don't understand why it was a season finale, but it was cool to show emphasis on other Rangers other than just the main core, you know? Because Zach rarely has any like main episodes, and it was cool to see him team up with Tommy, which is something we never really see. Now, wasn't that romantic? Or depressing, depending on what kind of video I just talked about. Okay, well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody, and bye.